You know the story with the housing crisis. It feels impossible. But what if the solution isn't just about building more houses? What if it's about owning them in a completely different way? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea that could change everything. Let's get into it. We all know this picture, right? You see a gorgeous city skyline, like this one in Vancouver. And for more and more people, the dream of actually living there, well, it's just becoming a dream. The numbers just don't work anymore. So the usual answer you hear is, we just got to build more supply. But what if that's only tackling half the problem? What if the real game-changing solution is in rethinking how we own our homes in the first place? Okay, so first, let's just quickly set the stage with a problem we all know so well. It's a crisis that's hitting just about every major city out there. A construction site like this is a familiar sight for sure. But what this image doesn't show you is the massive imbalance at the heart of the problem. In places like Metro Vancouver, wages have been totally left in the dust by the absolutely skyrocketing price of land and housing. And this number really says it all. A staggering 45% of people who rent in Metro Vancouver are spending 30% or more of their income on housing. That's the highest rate in all of Canada. It's not sustainable. And look, this isn't some fringe idea. The people in charge get it. Leaders like Shane Ramsey, the CEO of BC Housing, are on the record saying, yep, it's a crisis. Everyone agrees on the problem, so now the conversation is shifting to finding new solutions together. So if the old ways just aren't working, maybe we need a totally new way of looking at things. This next part introduces a pretty radical idea about where economic value, wealth, actually comes from. Check out this idea from a framework called the Third Way. It says that we, you, me, all of us citizens, are the true source of all economic value. It's our labor, our spending, our taxes. The government, the market, they're just the middlemen. So when you think about housing, we're the ones creating the value. So why aren't we more in control of it? This chart, which comes from an idea called Project 99, makes it even simpler. It basically argues that citizens create something like 99% of the economic value in the system. The big institutions, they're mostly just moving that value around. Now, this isn't about pointing fingers, it's just about understanding the real mechanics of the economy. And that brings us to the most important point here. The problem isn't that these middlemen exist. We actually need them. The real issue is that we've been taught to think of ourselves as passive customers, just receiving things, when in reality, structurally, we're the wellspring of the whole system's wealth. Okay, so if we, the citizens, are the source of all this value, how can we actually use that power to fix something as huge as the housing crisis? Well, that's where this different kind of ownership comes in. Let's talk about the solution. And that solution is a tool called a Community Housing Trust, or a CHT. It's pretty simple, really. It's a nonprofit that does one big, powerful thing. It holds land for the good of the community, which locks in affordable housing not just for a few years, but forever. And here it is. This is the light bulb moment. This slide makes the difference so clear, it's kind of shocking. Normally, when you buy a home, you're buying the house and the incredibly expensive land underneath it. But in the CHT model, the community trust owns the land. You just buy the house. By splitting the two, you take the crazy speculative value of land right out of the equation. It's a total game changer. So, how does it actually work day to day? Well, step 1, the CHT gets and holds on to the land. Step 2, it separates the cost of the land from the cost of the building. Step 3, it can support all kinds of housing, rentals, co-ops, you name it. And the final step, the most important one, it makes sure those homes stay affordable for generations to come. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great on paper, but does it actually work in the real world? The answer is a resounding yes. Let's look at some examples. For our first case study, we're heading to Vermont to the Champlain Housing Trust. This is the biggest CHT in the United States, and it's pretty much considered the gold standard for how to do this right. And their results are just wow. They manage thousands of affordable homes. Their ownership model works so well that a lot of residents actually build enough equity to eventually buy a home on the regular market. But get this, it gets even better. By providing stable housing to people who are chronically homeless, they've literally saved the local healthcare system a ton of money. It's a win for everybody. This quote from Champlain's CEO, Brenda Torpy, just hits the nail on the head. Housing is a health determinant. A stable home isn't just a nice to have, it is the fundamental building block of a healthy life and a healthy community. And this isn't just some one-off success story in Vermont. Let's jump across the country to Portland, Oregon. Groups like ProudGround are proving that this model can work in all kinds of different markets, all over North America. But what about one of the most expensive cities in the world? Can it work there? Well, in Vancouver, they're finding clever ways to make it happen. They're bundling a bunch of smaller properties into one big portfolio, which makes the finances work. Then they can use the profits from one building to make another one even more affordable. They're starting with rents almost 25% below market, and it only gets better from there. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the really big picture here, because this is about way more than just building a few affordable apartments. It's about creating lasting wealth for the entire community. What makes the CHT model so brilliant is that basically everyone wins. As you can see here, local governments get to use public land for public good without having to sell it off to developers. The community gets affordable housing forever. Investors get a safe return while doing something good for society. And nonprofits get a way to scale up and make an even bigger impact. It's a win-win-win-win. Tom Armstrong from the Co-op Housing Federation of BC really says it best. This model isn't just about the houses themselves. It's about building a stronger, more capable social sector by creating scale, opening up access to capital, and building new partnerships. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful thought. We've been trained to think of housing as either a private good you buy on the market or a service the government provides. But this is a third way. So the big question to leave you with is, what could our cities become? What would they look like if we truly own them together?